What you see behind us is where we usually sit on the plane, but for good day, we're all first class today.
Woo! Finally made it.
From the sea to the sky as we take flight for the busiest and most often stressful season of the year, it's easy for your manners to get lost in the hustle and the bustle of the holidays.
Yeah, that's true. But there are several ways to make sure you have a smooth and polite trip. We want that for all of us. So here with the lesson in proper airplane etiquette is president and founder of Travelmation, Adam Duckworth. Hey, Adam, good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Steve and Homa, good morning. Great to be with you. Thank you for having me on.
It's always good to see you. Listen, we're in first class today, and we have you on board. You're looking the part as well. But here's the problem, and we've all been there, right? Whether you're in row 1 or you're in row 60 at the back of the plane, you have some people that play nice and some people that don't. So let's start with what we should be doing to make our life and everybody else's on board better.
Well, I got to tell you, every time I'm on an airplane, I start to question my faith in humanity. I don't know if you guys are like me or not in that regard. So I started to kind of compile a couple of things that you should do on an airplane that I think could be just helpful during this busy holiday season. Here's just the first one. Keep your socks and shoes on. Okay, number one. Have you ever seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with John Candy's character, Del Griffith, when he takes that shoe off and takes that sock off and Steve Martin is going, you got to be kidding me? Keep your shoes and socks on, because a lot of people feel the freedom to just take them off unless you're flying overseas and you have one of those pods in first class where they give you the slippers. Keep those shoes and socks on. It's going to be good. Here's another do. If you have a small bladder, which by the way, I do, book an aisle seat. Like if you like to drink a club soda and a coffee in the morning like I do, don't book a window seat and get up multiple times, especially if you're flying from DC to LA and you know you're going to have to do it multiple times. Do book an aisle seat. Here's another do. Have some empathy for families. So here's a cool thing about my life is that we adopted a baby girl about 3.5 weeks ago. Her name is Ellie, and we're going to be taking our first trip with her next spring in February on a plane. And I know that there are going to be people who are looking at me and staring at me and going, oh, gosh, there's a baby on a plane. We've all been there. Have some empathy for families because it's hard and it's really difficult. Here's another one. Get your overhead luggage up there quickly. Don't lollygag in the aisle. People are going to, like, I wonder when people are trying. And now, and by the way, do look for ways to help others. Some people can't carry their bags and put them up there properly. Look for ways to help others in that way. And then lastly, here's my last do, and I think it's an important one. If you're having a beverage on board and you hit some rough air, because we know we've all hit turbulence if we're frequent travelers from time to time, cover that beverage. The last thing you want is a complete outfit covered in coffee, especially on a morning flight if you're going to a business meeting.
Hey, by the way, right up here, I got Homa's bag up here.
That's my bag up there, and here are all my kids to the side. Congratulations, by the way. That is so incredible. I'm so happy for you guys. We took 20 flights with our twins before they turned 1, and I have to tell you, people are overwhelmingly kind when you have little kids. There are a couple of people that are like, oh, they don't deserve to be here.
There's always somebody, right?
But for the most part, I will say don't stress about it because, and mostly the flight attendants are just so hugely helpful in those situations.
I hope it works out good for you. Adam, real quick, I'm going to run through some of the don'ts, and then I have another question for you, right? Because you talk about there's always somebody, right? So don't be watching the movie without headphones. This is a pet peeve for me when the person in front of you puts that seat all the way back and it's now in your lap. Don't board when it's not your turn. Don't stand when the plane lands. Don't overindulge in the drinks, especially if you have that window seat and you have to keep getting out. Here's my question for you. Now that we have more social media and we're calling out people who do these things, like the bare feet on the plane, those things suddenly trend and they go viral, does that help the situation or not?
I'm not sure that it helps a situation. Like if you're snapping pictures of it or you're taking video, especially like my last don't was don't overindulge in alcohol. If you have too much booze on a plane and they have to escort you off, you will end up on social media and become social media famous. I'm not sure it helps, but I'm going to guarantee you this. If you do a lot of these don'ts, you will end up on TikTok, Facebook, Reels, you name it. You're going to end up on there for sure.
I don't agree with that because I don't like taking videos and photos of people without their consent and then putting it out for public consumption for millions of people to see because you just don't know what's going to hit and what's going to go viral. So I don't like that. Traveling is so stressful, Adam. Like people are just in this steel tube for hours with strangers.
And Homa, I don't like it either. I just think the reality of it is that it happens. You see something happen on a plane and everybody's got their phone out. It's just the day that we live in. Would I do it? Probably not, because I don't want somebody coming after me. I would advise probably not doing it. Do I think it happens? Yes. That steel tube is stressful. It's filled with anxiety. It's just a hard thing to do, especially this time of year.
Adam, here's my last question for you real quick. What is your take etiquette-wise as to talking to the person next to you? Homa just mentioned you're on a plane full of strangers, right? You have to crawl over somebody to get in, or they sit next to you. Aside from the hello, do you continue a conversation or not?
Steve, I do not continue a conversation. The etiquette that I use is if somebody has headphones in, I try to not bother them. I will give it a very courteous, how you doing? Hope you have a great flight, and kind of go about my day. Just because I know that I like to work on planes, I like to focus. I'm not interested in striking up a large conversation. So it really is all about reading your audience, because there's a lot of chatty people, and then there's a lot of people who like to just kind of be in their own space. I encourage folks as they explore who they're around to kind of read the room. It's kind of like being at a party. It's trying to figure out who the people are around you and how they want to be.
Absolutely. Adam, thank you so much for all the tips and advice. There is how you can find Adam Duckworth, Travelmation.com. Thank you so much. Happy traveling with the new baby. I hope everything goes well.
Thank you.
And thanks for flying Good Day Airlines with us today, Adam. We appreciate it. Always a first-class operation.
I'm the opposite. I'm going to know your life story by the time we get off that plane.
Well, I'm going to take an extra pair of headphones. That's a tip. Seriously, take the extra headphones.
He's like, can I get off this plane?
How do we get off of this plane, by the way?